Hello, dear members of the Drama of Life family. Today we will bring you an emotional love story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any meaningful stories. My name is Camille Hart, the eldest daughter of a middle-class family in the suburbs of Boston. I worked as a creative director for an interior design firm, leading a pretty stable life, at least until everything inside me started to crumble at the hands of the people I trusted the most. Fiona, my sister, is the complete opposite. While I am a quiet, hard-working person, Fiona is always lively and always the center of attention wherever she goes. People often compliment her on her beauty and charm, and I am never jealous, because I love her. I used to believe that, no matter how many differences there are between us, nothing can break our bond. Logan Bradford is my fiancé, a successful, suave man who knows how to make a woman feel like the most important person in the world. I met Logan while redesigning a conference room for his company. After a few months of dating, Logan got down on one knee and proposed to me in a fancy restaurant. The place that became a symbol of our love. I cried tears of joy, and when he placed the ring on my finger, I knew I had found the man to spend the rest of my life with. But I was wrong. It all started with a random text message. I'm not the type to go through my girlfriend's phone. But that night, Logan fell asleep on the sofa. His phone fell out of his pocket and lit up the screen with a text message. "I miss your perfume last night." I stood frozen. The sender was Fiona. At first, I didn't want to believe it. I made up a bunch of excuses to reassure myself. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe Fiona had sent it by mistake. But then my womanly instincts told me something was wrong. I started to pay more attention. Logan was often late, always making excuses for business trips, and his phone was always set to a new password. Fiona was avoiding me, suddenly cold and irritable for no reason. I couldn't continue living in doubt, and that night, fate showed me the cruel truth. I was driving past the restaurant where Logan proposed to me when the lights inside caught my eye. With an inexplicable feeling, I stopped the car, walked up, and looked inside through the large glass. I was stunned. Fiona, my younger sister, was sitting across the table from Logan. The two of them were laughing and talking, their hands clasped together, their eyes filled with disgusting love. But what chilled me wasn't the action. It was the dress Fiona was wearing. The emerald green, off-the-shoulder, slit-up dress was the one I had chosen to wear to my engagement party. I knew every stitch, every bead on the hem, because I had it custom-made. I had locked it away in my closet, but my sister wore it, unashamed, as if mocking me. I stood trembling in the cold night sky, my eyes fixed on the scene of betrayal. All the noise seemed to fade away, leaving only the sound of my heartbeat in my chest. No, I will not run away. I pulled the door open and entered the restaurant. No screaming, no fighting. I was calm as a stranger, polite as a lady. I looked straight at the waiter and smiled. "Please give me a table, right next to that couple." The waiter was a little surprised, but still led me to the empty table next to them. The dim candlelight from the table next to her illuminated Fiona's face, making me see even more clearly the deep red lipstick she never dared to wear in front of me. Her eyes were fixed on Logan like someone who had forgotten that she lived in a limited world. I sat less than 2 meters away from them, but neither of them recognized me. Or maybe they were so used to seeing me as a shadow, someone who could easily be left out of their best moments. I forced a smile, my hand tightening on my glass. My heart was pounding. My mind was spinning with hundreds of unanswered questions. What had I missed? Why would Logan, the one who once hugged me in the rain, saying that only I could make him want to slow down, betray me so blatantly? And Fiona, the little sister who had been close to me since childhood, who had cried when her first love broke up. How could she do this? Memories like a flood came flooding back. I remember a Thursday night not long ago, when Logan came home late with a strange perfume on his collar. He said it was because he had hugged an old coworker goodbye. I didn't doubt it, just smiled and gave him a warm towel to wipe his face. I still believed him, because I loved him, and that love made me blind to the obvious signs. But things started to shake the next day. It was a Friday afternoon. I got home earlier than usual because my meeting was postponed. Logan still hadn't come back. I put my bag down on the couch about to make some tea when I heard the phone ringing in the living room. I walked over and saw Logan's phone screen light up. A message. Fiona, Friday private table. She'll love it there. I stood there frozen. The message seemed carefully written, but it was full of hidden meaning. Why would Logan say she'll like it when Fiona was with him? And why Elon, where Logan and I had dinner on our 1-year anniversary? I felt a sense of unease creep into my bones. My hands shook as I held the phone. Logan hadn't changed his password. It was still 11:22, the day we'd officially become a couple. Part of me hoped it was a mistake, that I'd find nothing more than a few random texts between two family members. But I was wrong. When I unlocked my phone, the messages poured out like a flood. Logan and Fiona talked every day. The words appeared, each character tearing at my heart. I miss you. Does she suspect anything? Last night was still the best. Each message was a stab. I read it over and over, hoping my mind was playing a cruel joke. But no, it was true. They had been seeing each other before Logan proposed. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt cold, a cold that went deep into my spine. My whole body stiffened as if I was frozen. I quietly put the phone back as if it had never been touched and retreated from the living room. That night, Logan came home with a smile on his face. He hugged me from behind and asked, "Did you miss me?" I smiled back. I turned around, looked into his eyes and said, "More than you think?" I spent the night sitting on my bedroom floor, the lights dim, the phone screen cold in my hand. Logan lay just a door away, breathing evenly as if nothing had changed. But for me, everything had fallen apart. I scrolled through hundreds of messages, photos, and voice notes whispered in the middle of the night. Every detail was evidence of betrayal. Fiona was no longer the smiling little sister she had once been. In the photos, she stared straight into Logan's camera, eyes full of confidence and provocation. They weren't hiding anymore. They were openly together in a private world I'd never been allowed into. A picnic on the beach, 2 glasses of wine, Logan hugging her from behind. A rainy evening, Fiona holding an umbrella over Logan, smiling brightly like she was the only woman he'd ever loved. And then I saw that picture. Fiona stood in front of the mirror, the light from the chandelier making it look like a professional wedding dress fitting. Her hair was pulled back into a bun, revealing her slender neck and proud shoulders. But it wasn't her expression or her pose that made my heart stop. It was the dress, the ivory dress I picked out the day Logan proposed to me. The dress I had brought home, carefully placed in a silk bag, cherished like a dream about to take shape. I remember clearly the day Fiona walked into my room and saw it. "Oh, this!" She raised an eyebrow, gently smoothing the hem of her dress. "It looks a bit too gentle for my taste. If I wore it, I would probably have to alter a few places to make it more personal." I laughed, thinking my sister was just joking. A week later, Fiona said she needed to borrow a dress for a charity event, a fundraising gala she was hosting with her college friends. I hesitated, but then thought, it's just for one night. Little did I know I was handing over a piece of the most sacred memory of my life. And now that same dress hugged my sister's body, breathtakingly perfect. She adjusted the straps for the camera, then turned to give Logan a quick kiss on the cheek. The picture froze there, like a silent slap. I clenched my fist. The phone fell to the wooden floor, making a dry, crashing sound. I used to believe that Fiona was different from my mother, the woman who had made my father abandon our family for another woman. I used to think that Fiona was innocent, in need of protection, and that I was the only person in the world who could shield her from harm. But in fact, she had learned to live like her mother without realizing it. Outside, it began to rain. The steady patter of raindrops on the window reminded me that the night was going to be long. I walked to the closet and opened the door. The silk bag that had held my dress was still there, empty. I bowed my head and lightly touched the fabric inside. Cold, just like my heart right now. I was filled with a feeling of both pain and numbness. Not because of betrayal, but because of betrayal by the person I loved the most, and by the person I called family. I always thought I would scream, smash things, or at least have a heated argument when I found out my lover had betrayed me. But no, in the moment I faced the truth, I didn't cry. I didn't make a fuss. Not a single tear fell. Maybe because the pain had exceeded the limit, making my heart completely numb. I just opened my phone, pulled up an old text message with Ray, my best friend from college. He was the one who witnessed Logan's first flirtation with me, the one who half-jokingly said, "That guy can't be trusted, Camille." I used to laugh it off, brushing off all the warnings. Now I can't laugh anymore. "Are you free Friday night?" I texted Ray. "What's going on?" "I need a name on the table at Elan, the table next to them." "Camille, what are you up to?" "Nothing. I just want them to know I saw it all, and I'm still standing." Ray didn't ask any more questions. An hour later, he sent a photo of the reservation, a table for two, by the window, where Logan had gotten down on one knee and proposed to me on a snowy night in the early season. I took out the small leather notebook hidden under my pillow, the diary that only I read. Flipping to the first blank page after many weeks of not finishing it, I wrote a short line. "See what it feels like to face betrayal without blinking an eye." I didn't sleep much for the next 3 days. I sorted through the things Logan had left behind: ties, wallets, watches. They were all carefully wrapped and placed in a shiny black box. I didn't send them, just left them there. A reminder that he had been a part of my life, but now he was just a relic. I chose a simple black dress, no lace, no rhinestones. Hair tied back, red lipstick, and pearl earrings my mother had left me. I didn't want to stand out. I just wanted to be calm. Ray arrived first. He picked out the wine, picked out the food, and remained as calm as ever. He asked no questions, showed no sympathy, just smiled as I sat down. "I thought you'd do something crazy." And I thought I was crazy enough. We drank. We talked about unrelated things: work, old times, new movies. But I knew Ray was watching my eyes, my grip on the glass, my breathing changing slightly. He knew the moment was coming. And then, the door opened. Logan walked in first, the warm yellow light of the restaurant making his hair seem brighter, his skin smoother, as if the lie had never happened. Fiona followed behind, a tight cream silk dress, a matching blazer. But what took my breath away were her shoes. Red-soled Christian Louboutin shoes, a birthday gift I had cherished so much I couldn't bear to wear them. I kept them in a glass case, in my closet like a treasure. Fiona borrowed them once and said, "Keep them." My feet hurt. I believed her. Now she walks confidently in my shoes, as if they never belonged to anyone else. Logan pulled out a chair for her. They laughed, clutched their drinks, whispered in each other's ears. Fiona put one hand on Logan's thigh, as if claiming ownership. I didn't look away. I looked straight ahead. Each touch, each glance, was like a small stab. Silent, but painful. Ray placed his hand on the table, gently. "Are you okay?" I nodded. "Fine." I stood up, not in a hurry, not awkwardly. I walked past their table, where Fiona had just tilted her head and smiled at Logan, and I stopped, right in front of them. I looked Fiona straight in the eye, my gaze never wavering. She paused. Logan raised his head, his expression stiff. I smiled. I'm not sure what made me laugh at that moment. Maybe it was Fiona's pale face, or the way Logan looked so startled, like he'd just been caught red-handed at a crime scene. There was no anger in my heart, just a vague feeling somewhere between disappointment and emptiness. I smiled slightly, my voice casual as if I had actually run into them. "Oh, Logan, Fiona. What a coincidence. Fiona, remember Ray?" Ray, who had been sitting there as calm as a rock, turned and raised his glass in greeting. "Long time no see, Fiona." No one answered immediately. They were stunned. Fiona tilted her head, trying to regain her composure, but failing to hide the annoyance in her eyes. Logan took a sip of water, his throat tightening. I turned to the waiter, deliberately speaking in a sarcastic, sweet voice. "Could we put 2 tables together?" "We're old friends." The waiter, clueless, nodded. Within minutes, the tables were joined together. The 3 of them faced each other, speechless. Ray was the first to break the silence. "Camille's right. It's been a long time since we've sat together like this." Fiona forced a smile, but her eyes were cold. "You're always the same, always making things interesting." She emphasized the word interesting as if it were ironic. I didn't reply. I just took the menu, flipping through the pages as if I were really considering the food. Logan glanced at me, then at Fiona. He was clearly worried that I would make a scene in the middle of the restaurant, but I didn't. I left them there, with a sense of unease, a shame I didn't need to voice. Dinner was strangely tense. Ray tried to keep the atmosphere light, asking small talk, but no one really answered. I just sat there, watching Fiona's every little move, the way she fixed her hair, the way she smiled wryly, and especially the way she looked at me, both challenging and nervous. Finally, Fiona couldn't take it anymore. "Do you really think this makes you any more noble?" She put down her knife and fork and tilted her head. "You've always been like this, trying to be strong, but never holding on to anything. Not because of you, Camille. You've never held on to anyone." The words were like a silent slap. I stared at her for a long time, my eyes unblinking. Ray squeezed her hand under the table, a silent encouragement. I don't respond with an argument. No yelling, no ranting. Just a sentence is enough. "You don't win anything, Fiona. You're just good at stealing." The words landed like a heavy weight on the table, stopping all three of us. Logan looked up at me, and for the first time all evening, his composure was gone. He realized I had known all along. Fiona stiffened, her mouth set. No one said anything more. No apology, no denial. The dinner ended in silence, heavy and bitter. I stood up first. Ray followed. No one held us back. On the way back, the night wind blew gently through my hair. The city was still crowded, people were still bustling, but all the sounds faded behind me. In the car, Ray said nothing. He just drove me home like an old habit, leaving me alone to quietly chew on the last thing left after the storm. I opened my phone and texted him. They didn't just take him. They took my story. Things were never the same again. After dinner, I didn't feel the peace I once had, but I also didn't feel the pain I felt when I first found out about the betrayal. That feeling, the feeling that I thought would destroy everything inside me, had faded. The next morning, I woke up in a quiet room. Not the house I shared with Logan, not the bed I thought I would stay in forever. I was in a completely new space, a space I had created for myself, to find myself again. Ray, the only friend who understands me, has helped me overcome many storms throughout the past time. He is the only one who never abandoned me, even in my weakest moments. He calls me every morning to ask how I am and tells me to live for myself. I spent the past few weeks sorting out my life. I got rid of everything that had anything to do with Logan, from things that had memories of us together, to friends I had in common, to parties I had gone to. I didn't want to live in the past, no matter how painful it was. One day I stood in front of the mirror and looked at myself. I was no longer the Camille of the past, the one who always held back, always trying to keep everything for a man who was not worthy. I did not need to continue being a supporting character in someone else's story. I could rewrite my own story. With Ray's help, I decided to start over. I pursued a passion I had never dared to pursue before: fashion design. I started over, took intensive classes, and slowly rebuilt my career. But I no longer run after something just for external reasons. This time, I live for myself. A month later, I got an invitation to an important fashion show. I looked back at everything I had done, and I knew this was a new beginning. I was no longer someone they could easily take away. I was Camille Hart, and my story was never over. On stage, under the spotlight, I felt free. No one could take away what was mine anymore. And when I looked in the mirror, I realized everything I had been through was not a failure. It was a lesson for me to be stronger, to never forget my own worth. This is my story, and I'm going to write it. Not Logan, not Fiona, just me.